Tim Ferriss, the author and podcaster, is all about optimizing his performance in every way. His books, The 4-Hour Chef and Tools of Titans, have helped me tremendously, and when he spoke about his process in acquiring feedback, I knew his approach was tried and true. In episode 538 of The Tim Ferriss Show, in a casual conversation with author Chris Hutchins, Tim explained how he gathered effective feedback, especially in the early stages of a project. If you've ever asked a friend to read your work and give feedback, you know how stressful, time-consuming, and unproductive that process can be. This is especially true if all you've given them is the manuscript and vague instructions like, "Give me feedback," or "Let me know what you think." Such an experience could cause unnecessary tension between friends. To avoid that scenario, allow me to share with you Tim's method for getting clear, succinct, and useful feedback for his writing and interviews. Before we get deeper into this, my name is Elliot. I make videos about writing and the creative process. If that interests you, please subscribe. Now let's get back to how Tim Ferriss asks for feedback. Break chapters into self-sufficient pieces that stand alone. When writing, Tim makes sure that each of his chapters can stand on its own, as a kind of modular, like a feature magazine article. If you're writing nonfiction, each of your chapters can be treated like a blog post. If you're writing fiction, each of your chapters could have a story arc and could be published as a short story. With each chapter as an individual piece, Tim's friends and editors only need to read one chapter instead of a whole book to have the context necessary to give useful feedback. Share the single chapter with 3 to 4 writer or lawyer friends. When picking who he would share his work with, Tim usually chooses friends who are writers or lawyers or those who have attended law school. He picks these people because they have the proper training in reviewing text and spotting ambiguity. These professionals also have a keen eye for superfluous details that should be cut. Understanding your network and the strengths and weaknesses of the individual is essential because you don't want to waste time and get frustrated when the person sharing feedback isn't qualified. In a scenario like that, it might be better to have no feedback at all. Sharp, observant, and capable of proofreading are qualities you look for in beta readers, and writers and lawyers tend to have those traits. However, getting a diverse sample of feedback is also important. That's why Tim doesn't only share with one person, but with 4. Love it or hate it, it can't be confusing. Once Tim has a team of reviewers, he approaches them with 1 or 2 asks. For the first, Tim requests, "Please read this, and if anything is confusing, please note that. You can love it, you can hate it, I'm fine with either of those, but if it's confusing, it's no good for anyone. So, if anything's confusing, please note. If your mind starts to wander, please note where that is." Whether with audio or text, the goal of the piece is to inform and captivate. If the reader or listener gets bored, distracted, or confused by a certain part, it's important for Tim to know where that is so he can modify or remove it. The point is not to get a rave review. The personal taste of the reader doesn't matter at this point. The goal is to figure out whether it's useful to anyone, and if it's unclear or dull, it's useless. Ask, which 20% should I cut? His second and preferred request is to ask, if I had to cut 20%, which 20% would I cut? Knowing what's the core and what's excess is important. This gives you an idea of where you should focus your attention when you're editing. How concise and succinct can you make it? This forces you to take a closer look at the remaining 80% and examine the substance of your piece. The thing is, when you ask 4 people, not all 4 of them will have the same opinion. So, when a situation like that occurs, Tim has a firm rule. If 1 out of the 4 love it, keep it. If 3 people tell Tim to cut out a section, while 1 person says that they love that section, he will keep it. He does this because something that resonated so strongly with 1 person is a good enough reason to keep it. If he cut it, it might have saved some room, but it would have potentially failed to impact 1 out of every 4 people, which is a big percentage. To cut out a part for the sake of the majority is not how Tim approaches his editing. You cannot serve everyone, but when you know you can serve someone, serve them. Don't ask for feedback if you don't plan on taking it. Lastly, perhaps what I've found to be the most important piece of advice is to not ask for feedback if you don't plan on using it in some way. If you know you're not willing to make changes, then why bother taking up someone else's time? When Tim received his writer or lawyer friends' feedback and the suggestions are valid, he would apply it to his work and improve it. If you've picked the right beta readers, respect their opinions, and trust that they have your best interest, why wouldn't you keep an open mind? When receiving feedback, we need to lose the ego. Otherwise, it might be better not to ask for their thoughts at all. When asking people for feedback, we're requesting their time and energy. They're doing us a favor, and as such, we should be grateful. That is why I think Tim Ferriss's process is solid, because first, he makes the request digestible. Then, he chooses those that are qualified for the job and ensures what he needs is clear. Finally, he prepares for how the feedback will be used so he doesn't lose sight of the bigger picture, which is to provide captivating and valuable content to the largest group of people possible. Thank you for watching. My name is Elliot. I make videos about writing and the creative process. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. And for more videos about editing, check out these ones right here.